Talk about Minnesota traveling to Chapel Hill. Face off with Drake May, North Carolina. The line is UNC minus 7.5. You're the Minnesota guy. I'll let you take over.
I'll be honest, I'm very worried about this game. And it's not because I don't think we can win. I'm not worried about going on the road. And maybe I should be, but I just think Drake May can just take over this game against us. And to be honest, Minnesota, and credit to Joe Rossi, and I'll never say another bad word about Joe Rossi in my life. The thing is, he's a defense coordinator for Minnesota, by the way. The only thing that you could knock him for is they just don't see many elite quarterbacks ever. I mean, the last one we saw was CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's redshirt freshman year, his first start ever. And they had receivers running wide open. Now, obviously, it was North Carolina does not have the talent on the perimeter to take advantage of that, which is where I think Minnesota's got their chance because the strength of their defense, I believe, is in the secondary. Tyler Nubin and Justin Wally are two all-conference caliber players. They do get Coney Lindenberg back at linebacker, which is massive for them. They've really missed him, having some youth and inexperience there up the middle of their defense. And obviously, no Des Walker has hurt UNC, but the emergence of Omarion Hampton for them, right? The running back for North Carolina was really eye-opening for me. And again, that's going back. If you get Drake May a rushing attack, it's going to be really, really hard to get stops, especially on third and short, where he can beat you with his legs and with his arm, obviously. And then also, which offense shows up for Minnesota? Is it the one against Nebraska that had to pass the ball 44 times because they couldn't run the ball at all? Or is the one against Eastern Michigan that could run the ball in between the 20s? As soon as they get in the red zone, they couldn't figure it out. How much can you really get fixed on the O-line and in your offensive, more so continuity and consistency in 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever? I don't know. I was high Minnesota. I think I took their over. Well, it was back when 6.5, 7.5 is tough with the schedule, obviously. I'm higher than anybody on anything Calic Man. I think he's really, really damn good. He's a gamer. I think he's good enough to go not quite toe to toe with Drake May, but he's damn good to put up hella points in this game. But I'm gonna lean with UNC in the points here. I think this could get ugly in Chapel Hill, unfortunately for Minnesota.
I am going to go ahead and take UNC to win, but I'll take Minnesota cover. And
make me feel a little bit better about him as a Minnesota fan. Make me feel a little bit better.
Look, App State ran the ball. They ran the ball. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball on each other, right? So if there's any hope for Minnesota, right, the clock runs fast, right? Both teams are trying to run the ball. Your variability in the game decreases, right? So you get a chance. All of a sudden it's a one possession game, right? And Ethan Kaliakmanis has a chance to go down and potentially tie the game or win it, right? I'm hoping that's what happens. Well, because I took him to cover, and I'm sure you're hoping that happens because you're a big Gopher guy. But
yeah.
I do think they're just trying to figure out the balance, right? Like there's a kind of balance that you need on offense, right? If you have wide receivers like Minnesota does, which we saw late against Nebraska, we saw what Daniel Jackson's capable of.
We do. Do not let the unknown and he has 110 yards on the year, whatever, one touchdown. He's a good player, and UNC's they can get exposed, I think, on the back end. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but yeah, do not be surprised if Minnesota wide receivers are making plays. That's a really slept on group in terms of the national media.
Right. So I think it is very possible that this is a one possession game when it boils down to it. There's a chance that Drake May takes over, but I also think that they haven't really opened it up for him yet. So, which is also kind of scary too, because it's like, well, here's the thing: wouldn't you have opened it up for him in a game where you're in a dogfight with Appalachian State?
Either that or against South Carolina. Now, I think the staff kind of knew that I bet they might have, that they just couldn't block South Carolina. Now, our offensive line is better than South Carolina's offensive line. But in pass pro, I don't know how much. I mean, can't come on. Or is it Kamon Rucker, right? The edge guy for North Carolina could take advantage of some bad pass protection, specifically on that right side. If you see them lining up on the left side of the defense, right, against the right tackle, right guard, with some stunting and different things that they can do and get him isolated on a guy like Quinn Carroll that's not quite as quick in pass pro as he is physical and run blocking, it can do some damage. I think Ethan has played well under pressure, but obviously it's not where you want to live as if you're a quarterback. I'll say lastly here, we talked about Omarion Hampton stepping up, but Darius Taylor, I had to have felt good to see him go for what was like 190 some yards against Eastern Michigan last week as a true freshman guy. I mean,
is Bryce Williams healthy?
Who cares? I hope not. I'm sorry.
That's why I know, but like I'm just saying, like if he's healthy, is he going to steal carries from this other talent in the background field? You know.
Now, I do think Sean Tyler, who is technically the starting running back for him. Now, he's not quite the physical body to carry the load in a game. You want him more in that 12 to 16 touches range where he can just, scamper and go 70 yards for a touchdown. But he had some fumble problems to start the year. And I know the ball is the program for PJ Flex Squad up there in Minneapolis. He hates that more than anything. Anyone that coughs up the ball. So that's why we saw a bunch of Darius Taylor, and he looked really, really good, really physical. Caught the ball in the backfield. Obviously, if you don't follow recruiting that well, he was a highly touted guy out of Michigan. He was the gem of Minnesota's recruiting class, and it's great to see him come in right away and make a difference. Because he could just as easily be doing that for Michigan or Notre Dame. Instead, he's doing it for Minnesota. But yeah, I hope you're right. Well, I hope you're wrong in the fact that UNC wins. But I think this North Carolina team, I've just been impressed with them, and I don't slight them for losing in a close game against App State. I really don't. And we'll see how they show up. A week after that, 2 weeks after, a tough game against their rival South Carolina, and then obviously OT against another rival in App State. Can you get up a third straight week and play a team at Minnesota that's going to be hungry, that's going to want to come in and win this game?